again. So that whole time I'm rambling to myself. All right, good. Let's go. Let's get it. Good morning. Let's start with the basics here. So you're just seeing obviously the continuation of awesomeness this morning more than anything. And it's dark. I don't know what I'm doing here with these lights. I feel like I'm in the dark. Is that getting better? Worse? No, it's better. Okay. So I really don't see any reason why you're not getting back to here, like zero. I actually think actually think you're taking out the highs, but it's just my opinion. What do I know? But pretty simple setup here where you have your left shoulder now, and you have actual structure to it. And you have this right shoulder, which is really developed, and it's way more developed. This right shoulder is way more developed now than this left shoulder is, which is exactly what you want for those kinds of inverse positions. So I would think that you should wind up lifting right into here, kind of going from there. So 100% something that I'd be paying attention to. So I do think that. Drop in the comments. You have to do it inside the live chat, but in the comments. The screen I showed actually this morning was like a account that I keep where I put the ideas from like the community in, but I have buttons on there. You might have saw them real quick. You can create buttons on interactive brokers. It'd be niche, but I was thinking about doing it as a class. So if there's an interest in that, just let me know. Maybe I'll do it. It might be fun. So anyway, it might be helpful. Anyway, if we take a look at how this is playing out this morning between NQ and what's going on, you're having that higher high, you're having that lift, and we're going to just get into the basics here for a second. And we're going to look at this death cross. Everybody say it with me. Ooh. And now we're back over it, the higher high. And now it looks like we're pushing to those highs. And everyone that missed it, because they all missed it, because now you're 3.5% off of where you were, and they all missed it. So now they're going to start talking about why the market's wrong and they're right, why they live in their mom's basement eating Hot Pockets. So be really careful now who you're listening to. Call your feed. Whether it's me or whoever it is, call your feed, because you're going to have a ton of people out there talking about why it's going to roll back over. And really all they're doing is projecting because they suck at trading. So what you want to do is just start getting your own opinions on what's actually happening out there. From my opinion on looking at it from this perspective, this has been your area of interest this morning, right? And this is where your area of interest was yesterday. So it kind of looks similar, doesn't it? And if we go to these levels and watch how this plays out, they would be my really big levels on the day. Now, if we're starting to look for something a little higher, we're going to have to go out to like an hourly before we find anything that's even remotely up here. And then you're going to start finding these opens and highs. And what I would do is start looking in here at like control bars and start marking those off. And that gets you into February now. That's a really interesting area for me because I've rejected it here twice on that side. And then if I got through that, you can also see up here. So I almost feel like it's safer for me to go here. And then for me to make this almost a, band. Let's get rid of that now because that's exhausting. But it's almost like a band of resistance that's up here versus a range. So if we look at that here, let's just pull that over to this area. I would look at it from that perspective. Like that seems to be the area that we should focus on. Drop it to a 5. Now you can see that you actually came to that area, touched it, and rejected. So I do think that's important. Straight up's not a pattern. I don't think anybody thinks you're going to go straight up, but I do think that you're going to grind, and I do think people are going to buy the pullback. So it's certainly worth paying attention to. If you made the lower low, then you can kind of go from there and see what you get. But that's a band of resistance up there that I would certainly be paying attention to. And I'll just zoom in on this to drop it down so that we can just kind of look at that area. But that's how I view that. And I'm not going to save it, but I am going to copy it. And you guys can screenshot it as well for yourselves and go from there. And what do we got here? Stop. And go into that and go into observations and drop that in. And let's go into ES and go and take a look at that. See what you have going there. Very similar And it's the same stuff. Everybody's so scared at the end of the day. They're scared like small little children. So I don't really blame them. God knows, he's near a computer. God knows what he's going to tweet. So I get it. Like I do get it, but that's your range. That's what you have to focus on. So coming across, we'll go back to the hourly. See if we have anything similar. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, because obviously you have more sectors. The further you go out, the further you go out, the harder these levels get to find that are close together. There's your little inflection point there as well. And the reason for that is a couple of things. Look how that ties in perfectly right there. It's crazy how that worked, right? But there's a reason for that. You have different sectors. And the further you go out, the further those levels are going to change, just because you have different sectors. I think that's more important because you rejected it and you never came above it. And that's a doji. And dojis are signs of uncertainty. And you made a decision there. So, you got a lot going on in between that whole area. But I think obviously the bigger area that I would watch would just be here. And then we'll just kind of drop this coming across and pull that for you. Jump into a 30 and come across here and then go come here. People are like, why do you do the same thing every day? Not just set the chart. I do it every day because it's clean. And then it helps you remember what you're supposed to do just by going over it and over it again every single day. Just builds up a memory. And you get a little weak in here. I don't really care. I actually think the real money is going to be made in tech now. But they would be your minor levels, I guess. But I think you should be focused on the minor right now. The question is, what's going to derail us at this particular time? And I don't really have an issue on what's going to derail us. I'll leave it at that. I don't really see it that way. So, we'll have to go from there and see how that goes. I think that's important. We'll get to that. I'm just thinking, I wrote notes. This is the universal symbol for notes. And also you can sometimes see smoke coming out of my ears. If you look right here, you can see the rejection over and over again. Where's that rejection from? 350. So we know the market on close people. The market on close people are still what? Net sellers. So what you'd want to do from a trading perspective is understand that the market on close people who are institutions are net sellers this morning, and you can see it right there. Super important, right? Okay. And then we start taking a look here. It doesn't mean that we're going to stay down, but you'd want to know when you get above it. So that's why I put my little alarm there. No one's going to ring a bell. Ding, ding. And then what I would do is just watch the open and see if you retest that level. They would be my big levels to start on the SPY. And then I would go from there. And then what you would do is just do the same thing on the Qs. And the lower low is awesome, because you didn't make the higher high to try to lure me in. That's what I like. Give me a lower low. I'm fine with it. Because if I got the higher high and then you dropped and I had like an RSI divergence, I'd be more sus, because then you're doing stuff to try to lure me in. You're not trying to do that. You're just basically saying, look, guys, we're weak. Okay. All right, there's your little doji sitting right there. By the way, during the .com area, I think the 10-year was 6.25. No, gasp. And rates probably aren't going to stay where they are now. They would be the big levels that I would watch. The market on close is fascinating, because the market on close is pretty fascinating to me. We start getting into some of the bigger names and what's going on there. NVIDIA obviously going to have follow through on the news about UAE, Saudi Arabia, and these are your pretty big levels on the day. You could obviously fall apart at some point today, sure. I don't know that you're going to, but you could. I thought it was super interesting. I'll show you this too, because I thought this was super interesting. But they would be the levels I'd watch on NVIDIA this morning. I thought this was really interesting, that we hardly had MSTR down, or Bitcoin was hardly down this morning, and they were killing MSTR. And usually they can do it on very little money because nobody's out there trading it. You can see how little it was trading. So like this morning before I go to the gym, I always check like the market's usually like 5 o'clock when I go. And you could just see them just like trying to screw around with people in here for very little money. Very, very little money. If you come in here, it's like 1,000 shares to get it down to whack it around. I honestly don't think they should have pre-market, post-market, like the way that they do. I actually think it should be the market's open, the market's closed. I think it'd be so much cleaner for everybody. I actually think retail gets the brunt of it because retail panics this. Retail wake up 5:30 in the morning, see that and go, oh my God, I'm in here, it's here. So I actually think retail bears the brunt of that stuff. You could also mark off yesterday's open, but and I don't know that you're going to get down there, but this is how I see it. And I focus on the two biggest levels, which really are, the two real big ones are really here, frankly. It's this right here that you're having an issue with. And it's this one right here, that 404, which has just been, if you look at that 404 level, it's just been money. Like it's crazy, this whole area, how much money that's just been over and over and over and over again. Like, it's just nuts. Even if you're just doing it and then you're like, I'll just wait for the break of that area after it hits there. It's like, there it is. There's your flag. And then boom. So, and I do think you're going to see more and more rotation. So like these things will do well, then something else will do well. And I think I think you'll see more and more of that as time goes on. What else do we have that's like super important here that I think super important? Let me just watch this for a sec. We should probably go over this. You've already touched it. So a bunch of people did this trade in the room. Last night, you could see the short squeeze, and they are squeezing shorts pretty nicely. But they announced this deal. And, I don't know. The timing of their deals is always so suspect now because of what they did before. But you definitely want to pay attention to it. That's for sure. I want to pay attention to it. So the way that I look at this is from a short squeeze perspective. Besides, this is not really the name that I would own if I want to own a company. That said, that doesn't mean it's not the one I make the most amount of money from. You have a ton of people that are short this. With all this news that's coming out in the Middle East, the UAE, and how they're, trend jacking that news with this announcement, I would not want to be short this. So there are the minor levels down here. The big one for me last night was this 42.90, and you couldn't get through it last night. You rejected. 7 o'clock this morning, in come the hoople heads, and they can't wait to get themselves some SMCI and just start buying. And now you're up another 3. You start flipping some of these levels, 5 handles, like that's in the cards, man. People think like, oh, obviously it's my opinion, but I guess we could argue that is going to be something to watch. I probably got stopped there, but I had another level in here too. I was watching, and we hit there. But you got some stuff in there. But you get through that, you just start climbing this wall, and it's pretty fast. Like there's not a ton here, and I know a lot of people don't look at it that way, but I love these gaps, and a lot of people don't like these gaps because there's like, well, I don't know what to do in here. Wow, but I like them because it's like a bubble, and then when you pierce the bubble, like that's it. Like when you pop a bubble, that whole space goes away, right? If you think about that. People look at these and like, I want to see where there's volume because then I'll know, when you're getting through there that I'm good. Those volume shelves to me are like where I want to trade off of. And you can see like point of control here, value high, value low. And all I did was this, just like, it's not rocket science. It's not some super secret trading indicator that doesn't work. You have to spend $100 on it. Like, it's just the volume. But when you get into these little areas in here, when you pierce those, like they pop and it can move. That's the best way I can explain it, is that pop. I guess that's how I want to explain it. So I really like this going forward. What do I have here? I got a bunch of people messaging me. What's going on? Oh yeah, mixed shelf. Oh, they're doing a mixed shelf offering. Hertz, open-ended shelf. Oh, well, that's why you're whacking all over the place this morning, because they're just going to do an open-ended shelf. I don't really care. Do more, borrow more money. The more money you borrow, the bigger the move. Doesn't matter to me. It's irrelevant. So I would watch these levels. Let me get back to this. Sorry, I was getting tagged. And could you imagine worrying about the 10-year in your trading? The funniest one I think I got ever was the people that for like months, it might have been going on for a year, kept tagging me about the inverted yield curve. Like they were bond experts on the inverted yield curve, sitting around waiting for this recession. Like, oh God, isn't that exhausting? So super, super annoying. What else was of substance? The video we went over, Tesla's going to be a monster. Never should have been where it was, but this is just going to be an absolute monster. Anyone have a time frame on when we're all going to get robo-taxis? I actually think that's what's going to make the stock go a lot higher if he can ever pull that off. Because I don't drive them, but if I could buy a car that drove itself around and people rented the car, like you're essentially becoming your own Uber, and you don't have to do anything with it. Like, why wouldn't someone start buying fleets of those and doing that? And that's going to be first adopter. That's going to make the most money from that. But I would do that in a second. Like, who wouldn't want to go out and buy like a boatload of those cars and go, yeah, here you go, and just have them just keep going around? As long as they paid for themselves, what would you care? They would be the first levels I would look at. There'll be more, but I think you can get to that 360-ish. These would be the big pullback levels that you'd want to watch, and make sure that you get over the pre-market high this morning. Okay. What else you guys got? You guys probably have some names. What's up, John? Got my head cut off here. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, well, bottom's in, dude. I mean, anyone thinks the bottom's not in, so just they need help. What I think super interesting about this trade, and I should have done this one, when I looked at the short position and I looked that they didn't really cover fully, you're still, if you went and looked at like short positions, they may actually even be able to do it on Trading View. They have some of them, man, like they're not out. Like the shorts are not out of this. When I went looked at it, this to me just seems like a layup at this point. What is that, 267? I don't know how you're not getting there. So when you start to see these kinds of rallies and these kinds of names, these are technical breakouts. I mean, they just are. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. See how weak that right shoulder is and like feeble, like a trout, like small trout shoulders. So like when you see that, it doesn't usually have the same kind of oomph as when you have like this, where you have like large manly shoulders and you have like that weak trout-like shoulder over here, and you have like those large manly shoulders. Like they usually have more oomph. But you see this right here? So I just don't know how you're not at least going up another 10 points. Like, I don't see it. But I mean, maybe 65, maybe there's something here with that, and then that opening, and then that close, and the battle up over it. Maybe, right? Like maybe. But when you go and take a look at the short interest there, man, yeah, that's definitely it. You say it, bonk, 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 bonk. Yeah, and you didn't even test it. So this would be the area. That's your area. Pardon me. 64.76. That's your area. Let's drop this down. Drop it like it's hot. You guys have to let me know in the post-market videos what's better, the memes, the jokes, or the stock content. I think it's the memes. I think I'm really funny. 64. What the? Something else I really want to go over. Array. I'm not going near. I know that a lot of people like those names. The one that makes the most sense to me, and I see this stuff, I get it. It's just, do I want to do that? This one makes a lot of sense. The First Solar's been on fire since earnings, like on fire. Anything that's gapping up like this, you can get an inside day. You're going to want to pay attention to it. Like see how all this stuff consolidates right there? Like they're the biggest movers. Like when you see that, now you're above the 200, like that's the one I would look at. If I had to buy one of those, if someone said you have to buy one, that would be the one, John. What's going on, Jacob? Hello from Japan. Hello from Miami. MOS and TZ. You're thinking fertilizer names because of Russia, Ukraine? Maybe. That looks amazing, NTR. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird dynamic that you need more fertilizer when Ukraine opens up. But it sure seems that way, doesn't it? I don't know what's going on with this today. There it is. Yeah, I don't know that I would do that. I actually just think if I wanted to play the space, I would just buy this. But I need a major pullback now in it for me to get involved. And then I'd get involved with it. But other than that, I don't know that I would do this. I don't know where my edge is there. I'd be more interested in these names. Again, hello, old friends. Oh, that's aggressive. This was the trade, but I got scared. I got scared with the tariffs. I was like, oh. And I was in here. I'm glad I got out. Get back in. Now it's a thing. I think the fertilizer makes a lot of sense. I think the NTR looks better. Because you're just starting out of that flag. Yeah, please hit the like button. Morning. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely back, right? So as long as you're above, now you have a two handle, you're above that huge multi-year base. XLI looks like this, like it's going to rip everyone's head off. And the dollar's back over 100. Dollar needs to stay over 100, which I think it will. I think you're in good shape there. I do think it just grinds, Kev. I do. Yeah, that was a no-brainer when it fell apart. I think this was more of a no-brainer than Hood. The Hood trade I actually was in, and then I got out the other day. I got out because I got out of it because I was more concerned about protection of wanting to sell something into yesterday, going into CPI. The good news about CPI, and it always kills me with these guys that do these trades and then don't tell you why their trades work and they act like it's technical analysis. The reason we rocked so much yesterday is CPI was down, even though they front loaded everything because of tariffs. So if prices are there because they're front loading because of tariffs, what do you think is going to happen when all these tariff prices and the estimates just drop the way that they did? Demand's going to decrease, costs are going to come down, CPI is going to implode. That's why they'll probably cut rates eventually. So I got concerned about that. That's why I'm going to cut something. When you start getting these names that are trading and they're near 2 or 3 day highs already, and you look at the market and the market's not near 2 or 3 day highs, maybe you want to look at those names. Like one of my largest positions is this. I think this is third or fourth now. But when they start doing that kind of stuff, you want to pay attention. Luna had a good quarter. You know, they had a good quarter. I've been in this thing for a while. I got in at like $7 or $8 back here. I just been sitting with the darn thing. I'm all about that. I'm all about rockets. Rockets are life. I would just tell you guys to pay attention whenever you see things where it's like, I've got 4 points of confluence of moving averages all at the same spot, and you're in a trending market. I like HIMS. I like HIMS a lot here. I have a decent position in HIMS. It actually just kept getting bigger because the darn thing kept going up. I don't think people truly understand what he's doing there. I don't think people are getting it. I think people are starting to get it. I'll tell you who's going to make a lot of money this year. People that listen to conference calls and do fundamental analysis. They're going to make a lot of money. A lot of people are not going to tell you that because it's a service that they don't sell. I'm going to just tell you point blank, they're going to make a lot of money. They're going to tell you, oh, no, you need my technical indicator. You need this charting software. If you're listening to conference calls right now, they are going to be healthcare distribution, the Amazon of healthcare distribution. There's no doubt in my mind that that's where they're going. That's their whole thing. They got into the industry with like one thing. I think it was like either like bald guy shampoo or ED pills. Like they had one thing. It's very similar to what Amazon did. And then they start broadening out their distribution. They actually hired C-level Amazon people to come work at the company. I'd really look at this. I think it's fascinating what they're doing. I got one dude in the room. I think he's up. I think he's 10x'd it already in the trade. I haven't. I didn't have that kind of conviction. You know, the one I keep coming back to is this one because they have a contract. I have a tough time buying companies that have no earnings, and maybe that just doesn't make me cool. But it's not even earnings; it's revenue. Like I shorted this thing when Altman left because I didn't understand that it was actually positive that Altman left, and I should have gotten that. It's up $12 from when Altman left. I'm clearly wrong, but if you don't have revenue, I have no idea why you're at 9 versus 960, except that you are. And I'm not saying that I won't trade it, but it you know, it really is. We are the cat's pajamas. I think AMD is a pig. I do. I just think it's an absolute pig. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I know you guys love it, but why? I know you guys are obsessed with her, which is just weird, but I don't get it. I don't understand why you can have steak for dinner and you eat hamburger. Why? Why? Pourquoi? Is that French? I just don't get it, man. Like I'm not knocking it. I guess I am. Yeah, I am knocking it. I don't get it. Like I don't have a position in it. Doesn't make it right or wrong. I have a position in NVIDIA. I'm very happy. I have a position in AVGO. I'm very happy. I own the leaders. Winners win, losers lose. So like until they can rival, like I bought AMD. Like this is what people don't get. They're like, why do you hate this name? I don't. when they started crushing Intel, I'm like, okay, Intel's the pig, AMD's number one. I remember back here, like way back, I remember the Saudi fund, it was like back in here, it was like $4. It was actually even like 16 or something. And the Saudi fund, like their sovereign fund, was loading the boat on this. And this is really when they just started like really breaking out over Intel on the CPU side. And I'm like, oh, I got it. You're faster, your chip's better. But it was like a stabilization issue. This was 10 years ago. Like, oh, all day, let's do this one. Yay, Lisa. But when you're here and someone's like, I've got this chip in my hand or I got this chip in my hand, which chip do you want? I want this chip. It's no different than in the 90s when we traded, Intel, Microsoft, Dell, because that was the thing. So like now with the GPU, it's like, okay, I need AVGO. I need NVIDIA. I don't need AMD. I hope that makes sense. That's one more than most people, bro. Should be happy. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think that whole space does, man. I don't know. They just opened up one of the largest markets in the world. One of the largest markets in the world just opened up that has unlimited funds. I don't know. Maybe AI stocks go higher. Who knows? What do I know? What's up, Jack? No. ASML, I got asked a lot of questions about. I understand why you would look at that name. I do think it makes sense. I would be shocked if somebody that has unlimited funds does not start buying these machines and they just start appearing in the Middle East. I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. If bookings don't go up, if Taiwan Semi miraculously does not have a foundry now in the next 4 years or 3 years in the Middle East. I'd be very surprised by that. You have an entire new market in the world for this product. What's up, Eric, and your audio adventures? It could go. I'd be looking more at the apparel names. I don't know, bro. I'm trying to get through today. What's up, brother? Watch out for the bears. I think Exxon's one of those names you just have to buy and forget you own. I think it reminds me a lot of like ZIM. Like if you buy this, it's just like one of those things, right? It's like you're just really getting it for the yield at this point and the growth. Like you just don't want to be bothered. This was the number one name I told people to buy. But all your friends call you for like whatever you guys do for a living. Like all your friends call you when they need that thing. Like all my friends called me like, what do we buy? Did we buy anything? I'm like, buy Exxon. And they're like, well, why? I'm like, it's never missed a dividend payment in 40 years. You're getting 11% on your money. And they've never missed a dividend payment, ever. And if the world ends, then you don't have to worry about it anyway. If we went full 12 monkeys here. So from there, I think it's super important. But you're getting, this is when it was zero, it was negative. And remember when crude went negative? And then they wouldn't let them fill the strategic reserve. Exhausting. Anyway, but so interesting here. I remember we were looking at warehouses trying to figure out how we can store oil. Thank God we didn't do that. He takes all he can search. So they said, go there. Go the watch. Watch on his well. I don't know. You're in the room talking about somebody else. Like, just go to the other place, dude. So exhausting. What's up? The big shoulders today. Big shoulders. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm looking at head and shoulders today. I don't want weak trout-like shoulders. It's not sexy, Stephen. So. A lot of Mike said, I think you mean I think Alex, you mean they're getting into overbought, maybe? Maybe that's what you meant. I think that's what you meant, buddy. You mean overbought, like up here? Yeah, I mean, the way that I always look at that, I did a whole video on this, and it was like when I first learned how to use the internets and YouTube. What I would do is I would wait till you're over and you cross back over. What's up? I'm having fun. And I'd watch this pretty closely. So when you break, right? See that break? Some people will use the moving average cross as their signal. I just wait for it to cross over. And it doesn't mean that that's going to be the high, but it usually means like that. But you could stay up here forever, man. Like you could stay up here a long time. So I think you meant overbought. I think that's what you meant to say. See how long? You can stay up here a while. But I think that's what you meant to say. I could be wrong, though, Alex. What's up? I don't know the news, man. Obviously, it didn't go well. I did see that. It's got me thinking. The wheels are turning. The wheels are definitely turning. I saw that. A bunch of people were in the room. We went over it. A bunch of people in the room trading it. I think you're getting a 5-handle today. I'm going to be super annoyed at the stuff that I sold last night. I still have some. I don't have a lot. I think you're getting a 5-handle today. I think we went over that. Sometimes by the time I get to these, I think you got to be careful that every name is that we think everything's going to rally. I think we just got to be super careful off the open here. Because I think if we look at this, and we're going to get into it in the room in a moment, every morning, what have they done to us? Every morning, what have they done to us? They bid us down. What are they doing this morning? They're bidding us up, right? I gotta watch, be super careful. We gotta be super vigilant today, bro. Like super vigilant. Yeah, I do. I think there's something to that. Let's see what else. Maybe. Are they going to do that? MU's dropping hard. Is it? What's the news? There's got to be news for MU to do that. Anyone have news on MU? Boop. Promise I won't make that noise again. Promise broken. What's up, Steve? It's a pig, dude. It's just an absolute pig. People are like, oh, it's cheap. Is it? Enron was cheap. Like, I don't know what the problem is here, man, but they can't get it together. So, and I understand, like, the dude was assassinated, but like, there's an issue here. And I don't know what it is. But the guy that just appointed, now he's gone. Like, all these people keep leaving. So, no, it's pronounced Navidea. Here, let me spell it for you. You can say it. It's vid e there. Just screenshot that, bro. All right. There you go. You're welcome. I don't know. If it paid for the cars, we were there. I'm live. I'm everywhere, dude. Cool. I'm glad. It could. All right, let's go through this. I don't know what the issue is, bro. Like all kidding aside, like just joking around about NVIDIA and everything. Like I don't know why I would do that. Not all gaps get filled, man. NVIDIA is a better option compared to everything in the world. N8, and I can't even spell server, man. Show me how to make a server. Someone told me I could make a mini like Chat GPT with all my knowledge in the room. We should do it and have all that knowledge and have it answer questions. You should reach out to me, dude. I've been thinking about that. Gold is? I should. All right. Don't encourage me, as Shane said. I got to jump, guys. Trade to win. NBIS looks good.